We have Suships in Tearlaments making 18th place out of a regional. We have Crystal Beast and Sky Striker and a Exodia deck as well. Make sure you guys smash the living crap out of that subscribe button so you guys don't miss out on more awesome content. This was hilarious to me. This was a Tearlaments and with a Suship engine in it. Actually, the whole Suship deck here. And this actually got 18th place out of its regional. Now, hear me out for a second. These are the innovations that I love to see in the game. Now, obviously, you know, your tier package is going to be your hard carry, and you definitely can see how good that the power from this engine is. But I think when you just have a good time with something like this, it's so cool to see something like this creep through and actually shine in the game. So kudos for this. It's definitely made my day. So we have triple copies of the Sherry Red. We have triple copies of the Shiro. Then we have triple copies of the Uni. And then we have triple copies of Havness, triple copies of Merly, triple copies of Reno Heart, and triple copies of Shayren. And then we have triple copies of the Gunkin Suship Sherry. Then we have one instant fusion, triple copies of the Painful Decision, 2 copies of Pod Desires for draw power, of course, triple copies of Paralineo, triple copies of Super Poly, 1 Terraforming, 1 copy of the Gunkin Suship Daily Special, triple copies of Imperm, 1 Dynamiskis, and then 2 copies of Solic. Down in the next deck, we have 1 Sprite Elf with 1 Sprite Unicorn, 1 Dahark, 1 Time Thief Reader, 1 copy of the Super Dreadnought, and then 1 copy of the Shirdo class carrier. Then we have 1 Exton, 1 Abyss Dweller, with 1 copy of the Abyss Dweller. Then we have 2 copies of Kitagalos, 1 Kaleido Heart, 1 copy of Draco Stapelia, 1 Mud, and 1 Garuda. Then we have 1 copy of Pankratops, triple Space Rock, 1 Gagaga Cowboy, triple Cosmic Cyclone, 1 Feather Duster, triple Evenly Matched, and triple copies of There Can Only Be One. Wrapping up your Suship special. Definitely hilarious. Next up here is Crystal Beast. Now, man, conclave control is definitely the best way to play this. I will say, seeing more and more people out here picking up Crystal Beast, more and more people having a good time with this deck. For a local level, this deck is kind of a little bit of a monster. This deck does some pretty good things for what you need it to. You just kind of got to make sure that you have an idea of how you're playing the deck. I think it's going to be the hardest thing about Crystal Beast is you look at a deck like this and, you know, besides like anti-meta cards, you might not have the best idea of how to play this. So little things like that to kind of keep in mind is, you know, what negations do I need to load up where? So we have 1 copy of Cobalt Eagle, triple copies of the Crystal Beast Rainbow Dragon, 1 Ruby Carbuncle, triple copies of Sapphire Pegasus, triple copies of Droll Knockbird. We have 1 Rainbow Dragon, triple copies Awakening of the Crystal Ultimates, 1 Crystal Beacon, triple copies of Crystal Bond, triple Foolish Bro Goods. Then we have 1 copy of Mystic Mine, 1 copy of Necro Valley, triple copies of Pot of Prosperity, your triple copies of Rainbow Bridge, triple copies of the Rainbow Bridge of the Heart. We have 2 copies of Conclave, 2 copies of Miracle, triple copies of Imperm, and 1 copy of good old Rainbow Bridge of Salvation. Who doesn't love the fact that you just get a free search for any Crystal Beast in your entire gosh darn deck, and any of your field spells that you need to set up to detour the game state? Seems pretty good to me. We have 1 Win the Wind Charmer, 1 Lina, 1 Linkaribo with 1 Linkaribo, 1 Nightmare Phoenix with 1 Nightmare Cerberus. We have 1 Darumadal, 1 Tornado Dragon with 1 Dugaris. We have 1 Baguski, 1 Lightning Chidori, 1 Gagaga Cowboy, 1 Zeus, 1 Dingrisu, and 1 copy of Abyss Dweller. Our side deck here, triple copies of Dimension Shifter, because best card, triple copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 2 Lightning Storms, triple Raigeki, 1 Secret Village, 1 Zombie World, and 2 copies of Solemn Judgment here, wrapping up one of the most interesting Crystal Beast Conclave control decks we've seen. Next up is Sky Striker. Now, linkage touches down here in about a week or two, but honestly, I've been wondering to see how this deck would make an attempt to evolve after the loss of Hauki Fibrax. You know, Hulk was definitely that, you know, card that you needed to see in order to step on into Selene, and definitely made this deck's OTKs a lot more promising. Just being able to climb up into, you know, free access code chicken nuggies definitely made this deck a lot better. And unfortunately, you know, after the loss of Hulk, this deck definitely has suffered So we have triple copies of Astral Blossom and Joyous Spring, triple copies of Crow, we have triple copies of Effect Veiler, triple copies of Space Rock, triple copies of Ray, and triple copies of Rose. We're still very hard committing to the extension package of this. Then we have 2 copies of Cosmic Cyclone, 2 Forbidden Droplets, triple Mystic Mine, 2 copies of Pie Desires, 1 Rhoda, 1 Area Zero, 1 Afterburners, 1 Hornet Drones, 2 copies of Shark Cannon, triple copies of Widow Anki, 1 Multi-Roll, 1 Engage, 2 Talents, and triple copies of Infinite Permanents here, wrapping up your main deck for Sky Striker. Down here in the next deck, you have 1 Zeroboros, 1 Zeke, triple copies of Shizuku, your 1 Kaina, triple Kagari, 2 copies of Hayate, 1 Celine, 1 Lena, 1 Dahark, and 1 Access Code. Side deck, you got the triple lands, you have, of course, triple copies of Droll and Lockbird, 1 Change of Heart. I mean, yeah, it does put something into the main monster zone, but, like, I mean, who really cares? Because you can immediately link out into Zeke or, you know, use whatever you just took from your opponent, I guess, either a benchmark to attack for game or anything along the way. We have 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 1 Mind Control, triple copies of Dimensional Bear, and triple copies of There Can Only Be One, wrapping up your Sky Striker list. And like I said, a lot to really consider here, but that's the majority of it. Next up here is this was a Runick deck out list that got top 4. Now the reason why I wanted to cover this was this is actually using the Dogmatika package in this, and I hadn't considered this as much, and you will see that this one is pre Darkwing Blast, so there's no Frecky in here. But honestly, the little splash of this package just to like draw some cards off of this is actually kind of useful. I mean, obviously you could play Punishment in here if you really needed to, but like you're still going to be hiding behind Mystic Mine 95% of the time, so it's kind of up in the air. So we have 1 Ecclesia, triple copies of Majesty's Fiend. Deploying this is still going to be your win con. We have triple copies of Demise of the Lamb, triple copies of Mystic Mine, triple copies of Nadir Servant, because once again, doing this into this, it's pretty good. We have triple copies of Destruction, 1 Dispelling, triple copies of the Flashing Fire, 2 copies of Fountain, triple copies of Freezing Curses with the 1 Golden Droplet, triple copies of Runick Slumber, 1 Smiting Storm, triple copies of Just the Tip, 1 Terraforming, 2 copies of Gozen Match, 1 Metaverse, 2 Rivalry, and 2 copies of There Can Only Be One. Down here in the extract, we have 2 Kitagalos, okay, triple copies of Moonin, 1 Darklaw, triple copies of Hugin, triple copies of Gary. Oh boy, yup, that's a thing. We have 2 copies of Garuda and 1 copy of Anintis. Then we have 2 Sister Spooky Dogwood, 2 copies of Mash Change 2, because warping this into this is pretty good. We have 2 copies of Curse Steal the Forbidden Spell, triple copies of Evenly Matched, triple copies of Imperm, and triple copies of Solemn Judgment here. Wrapping up, definitely one of the more teched out Runick decks that I've seen as of late, and I think that this is definitely kind of interesting. Now, the last list I want to talk about here, this is an Exodia deck that showed up in the OCG that definitely took a lot of them by storm for the event. A lot of people, I guess, didn't know about Crooked Cook being indestructible through, you know, like the Astro Karibo and the Shark. So just load up the Shark, go ahead, and then, you know, go into Crooked Cook and you just sit behind Exodia for your draw power. I mean, this deck is literally the definition of TCG if I've ever seen it. So to see that this was showing up for its event, I wanted to cover this and just put this in a video because I thought that this was cool. So we have triple copies of Astro Karibo, triple copies of Beautiful Princess, triple copies of Buzz Sol Shark, 1 Pankratops, your 1 copy Dinotherium, 1 Exodia Head, triple Fenrir with 1 left-hand Shark, 2 Radion, triple copies of the right-hand Shark, 2 copies of Summoner Monk, your 1 Synthana, and then each of the Exodia pieces, triple Book of Eclipse with 2 copies of Called by the Grave, triple Dark Rule and No More, 1 Foolish Burial, 1 Harpy's Feather Duster, 2 Lightning Storm, 1 1-for-1, triple Extrav, triple Small World, and then we have 1 Sword of Deep Seated. Oh my gosh, just infinite not decking out. Then we have 1 Sprite Elf, 1 Dugaras, triple copies of Crooked Cook, 1 Moonin, triple Hugin, triple Gary, and triple Anintis. And then we have 2 Dimension Shifters, triple copies of Maxi, 2 Regekis. Then we have triple Runick Destruction, 2 Freezing Curses, and triple Ultimate Slayer here, wrapping up your chunk of deck profiles. So, what do you guys think? Please, comment down below, tell me what you guys think. Definitely a lot of interesting things out of this block, and I will see your beautiful faces back here later in the day, guys. Stay safe out there, alright? Patrons, thank you.
Thank you so much for watching. Check out these other videos.